Welcome again to the neXup podcast, where this show is pretty much dedicated to all of the tech news out there that's trending and keeping you guys up to speed what's going on. I'm your host, PC747. And what got me into tech has been, me trying to figure it out when I first picked it up, that being the Motorola Droid coming from the iPhone. And I needed a way to kind of figure out how to use it, so I started following along forums and trying to pretty much get an idea on how to use my phone. Eventually that led to me rooting it and then guided me down this road to continue to want to not so much just learn the tech, but wanting to share it. So in today's show, it's pretty much dedicated to a lot of things that is trending right now, particularly, what's going on this week in tech. And I have a number of things to talk about, such as what's going on with the Galaxy Fold, got some Pixel talk, as I'm a big fan of the Google phones and the software. And there's a couple of things that dropped in regards to, Google in regards to their phones and their software, as well as a couple of things that, they have coming along the way, as well as just some news that's going on. So, thank you again for joining me with today's show. This is Easter weekend. There are going to be a lot of people traveling right now. And we look forward to continuing to talk tech. But let's go ahead and get started with today's show. And to kick things off, I want to talk about the Galaxy Fold. So we finally got a chance to see early reviews of the Samsung Galaxy Fold. A bunch of reviewers got their hands on the phone. They started playing with it. And for the most part, when you get a chance to look and see what people were doing with it and kind of seeing the unboxings of it, it really looked like, all right, Samsung, you got a successful device right here. A lot of the complaints that were brought up early, such as that crease, for most people, they're like, okay, it's there, you can feel it, but it can easily be ignored. The display is good, the performance for the most part is good. It really caught a lot of people off guard and got a lot of people excited about where we could go with these folding phones. I'm just looking at a number of reviews from a bunch of the YouTube reviewers out there, and yes, I was impressed. It's so much so I'm like, all right, maybe I may have to go to pick one up, just to play with it, just to get my hands on it myself and to kind of, see for myself just where we are with this technology. It's finally here. We're on the verge of seeing an evolution here, and Samsung brought it here. It's an exciting time, and I feel like there's not really much that could go wrong. I mean, we knew some of the things that when it comes to brand new tech that there will be some problems, and one big one I will be talking about real soon. But it's like you kind of felt that, all right, here we are, we're here, we're picking up the next evolution, from where Samsung, well, not just Samsung, but smartphones in general, where we started with the iPhone back in the day and how it evolved from being, one of the first phones with a full display that took advantage of not just being a phone, but bringing internet and music and everything to the hands of the user, and seeing how that evolved into Android coming out and where we went with that as far as software and hardware, and seeing over the years how it evolved into it continued to get more and more, I say dominant, but better. We look at phones where, let's think about the iPhone. Let's go back to there where when it first came out, it was on 2G technology. The speeds was nowhere near where we are now. And then again, you look at how it evolved into the iPhone 3G. One of the first iPhones to be on 3G. And as we went into 3G technology to bring even faster internet speeds, to bring music, to bring the ability to surf the web, to eventually get to the point when you surfed up went to the sites, different sites. We moved from WAP to a full website where you would get full internet pages, and then we saw Android bring Flash to their browser to make it even more like a computer, to make it feel more like you can get away from having your computer with you, and then we've seen that continue to evolve, where we are now, where smartphones are the dominant way of consuming media, of searching for almost any and everything. And we saw the evolution continue. We started adding ways to pay for things using wallet apps. You started seeing ways where you can use health apps. So we continue to see this evolution of the smartphone, eventually to the Note where the screens got larger. Then you start seeing more screens. In fact, it's to the point now where I said before, when it comes to these smartphones, it's hard pressed to find a phone where they are not at least 5.5 inches or larger as far as the screen size. That is the new norm. And it's like, where could we go now? We continue to throw RAM at the phone. We continue to throw better displays at it. We did remove some things such as a headphone jack, but at the expense of bringing water resistance. So it's like, where were we left to go? What was the next evolution? And here we are, folding phones. The evolution, or the true evolution between phone and tablet, in a way that the Note could not be. And we're here. And we saw just how much better, the display, as far as having a bigger display, made consuming media. I mean, it still had its issues. And I'm not talking about the major one that just came out. I'm talking about when you first look at the bezel of the Galaxy Fold, and you're like, okay, you see where it can evolve to get better later on, especially when it's folded in half and you had to interact with half a phone. You can see where, all right, if we eventually get rid of all that bezel and open up the space, what you can do with it. But for the first edition, it gave a lot of hope of where we can go. So I was looking very forward to the second and third generation, still am, of where are we going with this technology. And don't get me wrong, I keep saying I can't wait to see the second and third generation. The Galaxy Fold, when people was unboxing it, it was a nice looking device. I saw Unbox Therapy when he was comparing the phone or the display to other phones, and they're showing how pretty much he took an iPhone and compared it to the Pixel. I'm sorry, not the Pixel, but the Galaxy Fold. And you can see where just how we're so used to watching a movie and everything on landscape mode, to be able to enjoy it just in standard mode or in the portrait mode or in the Galaxy Fold was still larger than most phones' landscape mode. And that's not to include the full display you was able to get when he finally moved the Galaxy Fold into its own landscape mode. So yeah, I was really excited, when I started preparing this show early in the week, of things to talk about. And one of the things I brought up, I can't wait to see what Google can do with the Pixel Fold. I can't wait to see other manufacturers take what Samsung did and continue to evolve it. But then we got to later in the week, and it further emphasized why I said that when it comes to a year one device that's kind of concept, it's just came out first year, you might want to hold off on being a beta tester, because we've already seen problems with it. Where a number of reviewers have reported that the display just stopped working. Unbox Therapy, several of them have put up videos of just, after a day or two where they were playing with their Galaxy Fold, their review units just stopped. Now, some of them reported it was because, they removed what they thought was a screen protector, and that caused the display just to stop working in general. And others just said, they started seeing imperfections in the display, and as a result, it just caused problems. Now, a lot of that is a result of it's just like with anything when it comes to smartphones. Like with the Pixel or any phone, when a phone comes out at first, you're going to have the issues with quality control. And this is obviously the case that we're seeing a lot of issues here. And yeah, I know this is going to get fixed eventually. But yeah, this is why when it comes to something new like this, when it comes to this technology, you got to hold off and just let it take its course, because we're going to see a lot of mistakes and issues come up, particularly from the manufacturer standpoint, because as much as they can go about testing it, you can't really get an idea of how well it's going to do until users start using it in everyday life. Until you start having people make mistakes such as, peeling off the display, and a lot of those mistakes are understood. If you're doing a review and you're trying to, capture the display, especially if you're filming and everything, you don't want to have a screen protector on it. You want to go ahead and peel that off. And if the screen looks like a screen protector, I can understand people want to peel that off. And that was on Samsung for not probably doing a good enough job of making sure that is known to people that that's part of the display. And those are some of the things that, again, until you get it in the hands of people and they get a chance to start playing with it, start using it, you're not going to realize this is something that needs to be dealt with. And I'm thinking that, again, as we get to further generation of this, that we're not going to see this problem anymore. So, yes, in a way, I'm kind of glad we're having this problem now in the hands of reviewers, so that when it comes to the hands of the everyday user, they're not having to deal with this. Because for a lot of you out there, you put $2,000 into a phone like this and have this, man, that would be frustrating. And I can imagine that. You finally look forward to this device, and, for whatever reason, you actually peel that display off, or that thinking it's a protective layer, and next thing you know, you done pretty much destroyed the phone. And, hopefully Samsung will look at that and, make sure that their customers are aware of that. And it makes me also concerned on how your carriers are going to handle their warranty process. Because this is obviously an issue. And I won't be surprised if more people actually make this mistake. And for the manufacturer and or the carrier to say, well, you peeled that off, you destroyed it, that's $2,000, that's down the drain. And this is something that Samsung is going to have to deal with, especially for this device. Because, just imagine a number of people picked this phone up. And this wasn't picked up by reviewers. This was actually picked up by the average user, the everyday consumer. And this happened like that. There would be an outrage, and rightfully so. But again, this is why we tell people when it comes to something like this, just stand by, just let it go through the process. Let the reviewers, let the beta testers go ahead and go through the beta test now. Let's go ahead and learn from it. So that, when we get to year 2, year 3, we figured out the technology. Because again, it's going to take a couple of years to figure out what works and what doesn't. And obviously, looking at year 1, the current display for right now doesn't look like it's going to be working. It's going to be worth it. And this is like, again, straight out of the box, and I've already knew that there's a potential for this to happen because of the simple fact that you was folding the display constantly, and we didn't even submit it to the environment, especially the hottest of the summers or the coldest of the winters. Somewhere like Chicago, where they had some record-breaking temperatures, where in the wintertime they actually had an advisory pretty much telling people to stay indoors because of how cold it was getting. Or you go someplace like Arizona, where it can get extremely hot in the summertime. How would these displays handle there? And can you blame the customer for living in their environments if the environments are a result of the display not working, when the manufacturer should be testing for that anyway? Because that's going to come up. We got to keep that in mind as we continue to see this continue to go on and more stories come out about this Samsung Galaxy Fold. Now, do I see this as a flaw that is fatal for this technology? No, I don't. As much as the stories are coming out about this being an issue, which it is, about this being a big problem, I don't see this being damning to the device at all. In fact, I keep saying I'm glad it's happening now because it allows us to continue to build on it and learn from it so that we can evolve into a technology that's going to be better. Samsung is going to learn from this. They're going to create a better display that's going to work for more smartphones. Other manufacturers are going to learn from this. And I'm looking forward to seeing the Huawei Mate X, to seeing the reviews from there, to see if they suffer the same fate, or did they actually figure it out? Were they actually at the forefront of getting this figured out so that this is not a problem for their device? And if so, well, we can learn from it. I look forward to seeing, again, other manufacturers throw their hat in the ring. And as much as we jump on Apple for not being innovative yet again, they seem smart right now, sitting back and letting this thing die down. So I don't think we're going to see an Apple Fold device anytime this year. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see it until maybe 2 or 3 years from now, at the point where everyone had figured this thing out and made the mistakes. And then we would see Apple get their hands or put their hat in the ring for this. Because right now, Samsung is taking a beating for this. In the media, everybody's talking about this phone, this much anticipated device that everyone couldn't wait for, and now it's not working already. And, people love the dog pilot, but this is part of what it takes to innovate. When you're first, you take the lumps of being first. So, and let's go ahead and move on to my second part of that, because I kept saying how so much, this is part of my Pixel talk as well, but I was saying I can't wait to see a Pixel Fold. Now, when I first put out these notes, I was thinking, Matt, as much as I want to see a Pixel Fold, my biggest concern for a Pixel Fold is that where Samsung put all the specs behind this device to make sure it was strong and ready to go, we're talking about 12 gigabytes of RAM to make sure this phone could perform like it needed to do what it needs to do. My concern with the Pixel Fold is how Google seems to always kind of, scale back on the hardware with their phones, so much so that I was concerned that about the time we got to the Pixel Fold, Google will find some way of putting out an 8 gigabyte Pixel Fold where it's like, where we complain about the Samsung Fold. Well, I was expecting Google's version to be even worse because they wasn't going to be willing to put the money out there to really invest in the hardware like Samsung was able to. And like I said, as much as I can't wait to see a Pixel Fold because of the software, I'm kind of hesitant about trying to see one because of the hardware. Because I'm still not happy at the simple fact that I feel like Google, when it comes to hardware, is not always looking to go all out when it comes to that. And it puts people like me in a bind. because as much as I love Samsung for innovating, I don't like their software. And as much as I love Google for their software, I hate their hardware. And it's really nowhere for someone like me to really go. I had to really choose my poison. What's more important to me? Is it the hardware of Samsung or the software of Google? There's no middle ground here. And with this new technology coming up, folding the phones, where I'm going to side with? Am I going to go with Samsung and get the better hardware? Or go with Google and get the better software that's hammered by the subpar hardware, or hardware that's not as good as it could be? But it looks like all that's going to be put on hold for a little bit as we continue to learn from these folding phones and see where we go. Now, as far as something good to talk about with Google, and this came out from 9 to 5 Google. And there's a report out showing that Google, we're talking about the Google Pixel, is number 3 in the US market-wise as far as share. Now, that's kind of good if you think about it. When you look what they're up against: Samsung, Apple, LG, Motorola, Huawei, Oppo, which Sony, OnePlus. Yeah, at the end of the day, in the US, more and more people are turning to the Google Pixel. Now, I'm not surprised at that third. I can see why Apple and Samsung are both beating out the Google Pixel. But the fact that Google's beating out LG is amazing. Especially given the fact that LG is making their hardware for them. But this is credit to what Google have done on the software department. And it's something that's well-deserved, as well as what they've done with their cameras. I think, and obviously what's keeping them from becoming number 1, or not in the number 2 spot, is hardware. So until we get to that point, I think they're always going to be that close, or that third spot. But this is, something to still celebrate for Google to be at that 3 spot officially. Other news. So this came out from The Verge. And pretty much Google was putting out some information showing out that, and we all kind of knew that they were working on a Pixel A. The Pixel 3a, the Pixel XLA, which was pretty much the little brother to the Pixel 3. It was a phone that will be designed very similar to the Google 3 and 3XL, but cut back on the hardware side. Coming May 7th, it will be made available, apparently, for a number of carriers. And one carrier in particular that I want to talk about is the fact that it may be soon coming to T-Mobile. So where Verizon was the exclusive carrier of the Pixel phones, we may be seeing another carrier step up and being one to unveil it. And as well as being a place where customers can purchase a device if they don't want to go through Google. So that's good. That's good for Google to get another hardware part or another carrier to partner with and expand their hardware to more and more hands. More hardware talk about Google. So where I said that we thought Google may be done with tablets and laptops, that may not be the case. Looks like we're going to be seeing Google continue to work on a Pixel book and a Pixel tablet. As reported by The Verge, it looks like we could indeed see another Pixel book and Pixel Slate coming from Google. Now, hopefully, this new Pixel product will, continue to improve on the Chrome OS. Now, the problem that I continue to still see with it being where it needs to go is Chrome OS. Until Chrome OS get to the point where it's a properly merged software between the Chrome browser or Chrome OS and the Android operating system, you're going to continue to see problems. And no matter how much hardware you throw at it, you got to fix the software. And as much as I love Chrome OS for what it is, it's still haven't figured out the tablet market. And this could still be something that could hinder it from being or going as far as it can go. But I understand why Google is going to continue to improve and work on this, because if anyone can continue to steer the vision of where Chrome OS can go, it's going to be Google. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how this unfold and where we go with this. So let's go ahead and talk about some quick news that came out. Let's start with real quick. Look like Apple and Qualcomm. So they had like a feud going, a legal dispute. Well, that dispute is, you go ahead and say they're kind of done with it for right now. They're going to squash that so that they can go ahead and work on some 5G phones. And this means Intel, as a result, they're not going to be in the 5G race. They're going to go ahead and allow Qualcomm to go ahead and continue making chips for these phones for 5G phones. This is big news for Qualcomm as well as Apple. And this is reported by CNN Business. Motorola, we could be seeing another Razr. And I look forward to actually seeing what Motorola would do with the Razr phone. Now, for those who are not familiar with the Razr, it was originally created for Verizon. And we saw a updated version in a Motorola Droid Razr, which was the Android version of the Razr. So it looks like we may be getting another. And if it's what I'm thinking it's going to be, this could be Verizon's first folding phone. Not just Verizon, but Verizon and Motorola's first folding phone. As the new Razr may be an Android phone that can be fold like a flip phone to, simulate the Razr back in the day. For those with iPad Pros, it looks like the Apple Pen that comes with it may be interfering with your unlocking mechanism in your car. As reported by 9to5 Mac, those of you who, and this actually came out from Apple, they were warning that their users that, some occasions there have been issues where the Apple Pencil have been causing problems with people being able to unlock their car using their remote. So if you're someone who's been having problems with, unlocking your phone, or unlocking your car, it could indeed be because of the Apple Pencil. I'm pretty sure Apple will soon put out an update to deal with that. So pretty much the statement that came out from Apple says, if you're charging your Apple Pencil 2nd generation with your iPad Pro and your car's keyless entry device is nearby, signal interference might prevent you from unlocking your car with your key fob. If this happens, you can simply move your iPad Pro away from your key fob to remove your Apple Pencil from your iPad Pro and store it separately. When Apple Pencil is finished charging, any resulting signal interference will cease. So there you have it. So it's probably rare, and I'm pretty sure the people it's affected is very few, but it is enough to cause Apple to put out a statement. Samsung, I may have to kind of double back on what I said last week. So I accuse Samsung of being a company who does a poor job of updating their phones. Well, looking like they actually starting to do much better. So as put out by Sam Mobile, looks like we can indeed be expecting a update, not just to the March version, as I said last week, but for April. So if you have a S10, S10 Plus, and S10e, looking like April security patch is underway. And I have to eat my words, he put it out that this is actually similar to the same update that was put out a week ago for the S9, S9 Plus, Note 9, and Note 8. Now, with this security patch that's coming out, is actually going to be for those in Switzerland. But I'm pretty sure we should soon see that come to the rest of the phones in the States. Now, one thing I do need to point out when it comes to a lot of these software, updates, even though the manufacturers do have a lot to do with it, there's one key element that a lot of times interfere with you getting your software update, and that's your carrier. So those on certain carriers may see updates later than, let's say, if you was to get a phone unlocked. So yeah, indeed, this could be the cause for some of why Samsung phones are delayed when it comes to software update. As I close out the show, I want to talk about something dealing with YouTube TV. So I was sitting there, watching, because I have both YouTube TV and cable, as I was kind of comparing them this week. And yeah, we had a big storm coming through. And those of you who, you're familiar with it, once you have a big storm with a tornado warning, you get an alert, and basically your TV just stopped as they flash up this alert to make sure that everyone knows that there's a tornado coming to take shelter, or there's a severe storm, just kind of warn you. Well, on YouTube TV, you don't get that interference. So you still enjoy your service without any interruption at all. And I'm pretty sure this is similar to a lot of streaming cable channels where you're able to still enjoy the channels the way they are without the interference. And for me, I have no issue with that, given the fact that, I know people may say, okay, that can be concerning because you may have someone who may not be getting a warning as a result of that. But with the way smartphones are now, even if you do ignore the fact that you don't have that pop-up on your TV, you do get that pop-up on your phone. So it's not like you're not going to get the alert. The flip side to something like YouTube TV is you are 30 seconds behind a live broadcast. Anyway, this is PC747 with today's show, talking about a lot of things with tech. The big talk today was the Galaxy Fold, with a lot of the issues coming out with the display, as well as it finally getting here. I look forward to seeing Samsung improve that. I can't wait to see where we go from there, which is technology. I can't wait to see more hardware partners jump on board, and as I say, more mistakes happen as we continue to grow and get the thing to something that is usable for more and more people on a daily basis. Enjoy your holiday weekend. I'm out.